a life coach, a life on life's terms coach. So tonight is our Friday Night Live. YouTube folks get to be my date and Grinchy's date. Grinchy will behave himself. Anyway, I hope that you're all doing well tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing you come on here tonight. Our topic is going to be about what is really driving your choices, and the hidden pattern behind what we want. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at that because Monday we talked about what do you want? And, a lot of us think, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And then what happens is then we get self-defeating thoughts that say, well, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? So then we may negate what it is that we want and give up on it way too fast. So this evening we're going to look at, your drive. The ego is really what has us catastrophizing sometimes because the catastrophizing comes with us wanting to try to protect ourselves. So when we're trying to protect ourselves, we can start that dark imaginings and catastrophizing. So, what do we want? And what if something happens? I guess this one should have said, well, what are you going to do? But we're asking what's driving you instead. So hopefully you all will be here. I'll give you a few minutes before I start discussing this evening. And I know if no one shows up, I think my mama will show up, but she might not. So anyway, I'm just going to go on the talk if no one shows up, and then we'll just post this later. Okay? Some people may like that better because sometimes people don't like the stopping for the chats in the live. I really appreciate you coming here and joining in, and I appreciate all who have subscribed to this channel and do choose to spend their time here, whether it's Friday night, a Monday night, a Sunday morning, or a Wednesday morning. Whenever you're able to make it here, I do appreciate it. Somebody's made it here, it looks like. So, yeah, I'm just kind of stalling for time. John London. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I did get the non-glare glasses. Thank you. But they seem so thick when I put them on. It makes me think. And I saw myself on video, and they don't not glare any more than these glasses do. And these are lighter than those, as far as that. So anyway, tonight we're going to talk about, keep growing. So we talked about on Monday night, what do you want? And a lot of us come up with the ideas of what do we want. We're able to say, oh, I want this and I want that. I want to win $1 million. But do we play the lottery? So then we asked, well, what if on Wednesday morning? We talked about what if. Because a lot of times we decide what we want, and then we negate what we want with the what ifs. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Or if something negative seems to happen, and then somebody's like, well, what if this happens? And so, thank you. Yeah, I'm starting to think that non-glare is just marketing. I'm not going to try this again. I'm hoping that I'll make enough money to go get my eyes done, Go get my eyes done. Hello, darling. Kim Valentine. It's good to see you. So I got bit by what we call a tabano here today. I had to take a Benadryl earlier. I didn't get bit just by, I think it was one tabano, but I got several bites. Look at these hands. This is the normal hand. And look at that. It's like Pink Floyd says, it swelled up like 2 balloons. Now it looks better than it did earlier because I did take the Benadryl. So hopefully I'm not going to be too loopy here. But the thing bit me right here. See how it's sticking out? That's not normal. These tabano things, they're like flies. They're almost the size of a fly. I know, darling. I know. Yeah, I'm going to take more Benadryl when I get off of here. I'm probably going to be boom, boom, and out go the lights, like Pat Travers said. Because I got it here. I got it here. I have it on one leg and on the other leg too. It ate me up, this tabano. I think it was just one, but oh my gosh. Welcome to the jungle. That's so anyway, on our topic, back to our topic. Yeah. So what's driving you? Because I was just talking about, yes, they do hurt, and they have fever in them too. They're hot. They have fever and they hurt. And all I can do is take Benadryl. And you know what? you put vinegar on these bites, is what they say, to bring comfort. So the vinegar helps them not itch as bad, but I think I'll take a Benadryl, a shower, and then go to bed after this, because the shower, the heat of the shower feels good on these bites. So yeah, the hidden patterns behind what do we want. So Monday, we talked about what do you want, and we talked about how to navigate what we want, but we also talked about, are we wanting from fear or are we wanting from faith? Because that's the big component there. Hey, VC, I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad you all are here. Thank you for being here. So then what happens is we decide, okay, this is what I want. And then we start getting scared. That's usually when our ego kicks in and says, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? So we start trying to strategize and protect ourselves once again out of fear that we're not going to get what we want. So the what ifs, and getting rid of those negative what ifs, and learning how to turn those negatives to a positive. So if you didn't get to catch Wednesday's video, I encourage you to catch that, because it was a nice chat too. So talked about what do we want and what if, and now we want to talk about what's driving you. Because here's the deal. For what we want, there has to be a drive. Jung says the unconscious drives us until it becomes conscious, I think. Exactly. It's that exactly. And I can't remember if I said that I think I said something like that on Wednesday or Monday night. I think I had it in the quotes. So cold compress will help the swelling. Well, thank you, darling. Yeah, I've been running cold water on it, and hot washing dishes and things. But yeah, I can't wait to. They'll be down in like 2 or 3 days, but they still itch like crazy. So what if we allowed ourselves to imagine something different? So we learned on Wednesday to use that what if towards our good imagining something good. I talked about how that I had those dark imaginings too, and that I heard, I had the secret CDs. Anybody done the secret, listened to the secret CDs? So I listened to those secret CDs, and it says, imagine, hello, Viola, you're just fine. I'm just getting started. So you're good. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. So those secret CDs, and it says, just imagine somebody bringing you a cup of coffee. So I did. I thought, okay, I'm going to see if somebody brings me a cup of coffee. And guess what? A few days later, hello, Jason Stillwell. It's good. How are you doing? So I imagined, I thought, okay, I'm going to see if somebody brings me a cup of coffee. And guess what? 2 days later, this guy comes up and he goes, here you go, Stacy. I got an extra Starbucks. It's like, whoa. So that was part of the evidence, because when we're creating and building evidence, that's part of the evidence that can remind us, okay, this is working, because we want to make sure things work, right? We're afraid they're not going to work, and that's those dark imagines and the what ifs on that side. But what if they work? So that started teaching me to imagine these things. When I got another job after that, it was like, I'm imagining that he's going to offer me this much a week. And guess what? He offered me that much a week. I'm telling you, imagine them giving me 50K too, or if they give you 50K, help your sister out over here. So I know, right? I definitely believe in they do become reality. They do. Our mind, that's what I was saying on Wednesday. Our mind, thank you, darling. Our minds are so magnificent, and they're so, we tend to not be conscious about, like you were saying, John London, we tend to not be conscious about how we're using our mind. So I don't know if I have that. I think I have that on today, on our consciousness. I get to talking on these things. So I don't think that was on Wednesday. I think that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. So we're on the same page. Stephanie McMahon. I don't think I look like Stephanie McMahon. What's that? Somebody says that I look like, is it Lewis says I look like, I can't remember. That I look like the Bionic Woman. That's who usually they say I look like. So sometimes what we want is connected to our deepest values and our growth and who we truly are. Like some of the things that I get to do today are things that I imagined doing when I was a kid. My brothers and I used to play on the room divider, and I would be talking to people, and look at me talking to people. So remembering that childlike spirit, because children, do you think that attraction works? I'm more on the religious side, but don't judge, of course. Well, thank you. Yeah, but when we look on the religious side, some of it too, even with the religious side, is that it can be kind of paradoxical in a way, because I do believe in magic, mystery, and miracles, and I talked about Wednesday about serendipity and synchronicities and those things on the what we want things, and that kind of goes with when we decide we want a car or we want this or we want that. Now, we know that when we go get a car and we're like, oh, this is one of a kind. Then when we get it, we see it everywhere. Or sometimes when we think of a friend, or think of somebody and then they call us. So our minds are so powerful. And I do believe that your source, VC, runs your mind too, if you believe that. Because we also talked about on Monday night about how powerful our minds are and how, some people wanted to know after we die. Hey, Katan. Some people were like, do you believe in the afterlife after we die? And I believe that our minds will, our souls live on. Our bodies and our minds are going to die, but we have a soul spirit within us. And so we're going to get to all of that this evening and exploring things. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I do think that it's okay. I grew up very religious too, and I know that they have a lot of restrictions sometimes in religion. That's why on here we don't talk about religion. I appreciate you respecting that. But we don't talk about religion a lot. We can talk about spirituality because I want to respect all the faiths in here. Because it don't matter to me what people you believe. It does help to believe in something. Jesus was a faith healer and had to be believed for miracles to work, like when they're in the storm on the boat. Yes, and I listened to Chase Hughes the other week, and he says that they say fear not. And see, this is the thing, is a lot of times the things that we want, we start fearing that we're not going to get it. But Jesus said, fear not. Chase Hughes told me I never counted it myself, but he says 365 times in the Bible. So every day there's a fear not. So, but it's about letting go of the fears and having faith. So I do believe in a strong faith. So I believe that faith drives us to what we want if we choose. So when we talked about faith and fear, last week, was it Wednesday, with the whatever, I think all of this has kind of gone to the same genre of, are you going to go by faith or are you going to go by fear? So fear has us backing out of what we want, sometimes thinking, well, this isn't going to work, because we also talked about instant gratification. I like that. Yeah, fear not. I didn't realize it was in the Bible's 365 times. Yeah, I like that fear not too. I don't claim, Ketan Patel, I don't claim any kind of religious connection. I have a lot of faith and I believe in a lot of things, but I don't think my beliefs make me who I am. I think that my actions make me who I am. Jesus also said we will create, exactly, VC. So I do Reiki, and it's not Reiki, and I believe that the Reiki is actually what Jesus did somewhat, putting his hands on people, and that's what I practice is Reiki. I'm not saying that I can heal like Jesus says, but he did say we could do that and better. And what the Reiki does do is it balances the central nervous system. So it helps us to calm down, relax, and be present, and fear not. And so sometimes what we want or what we run from is influenced by the things we learned long before we realized we were learning them. So a lot of the things this is where we're going to get into our subconscious and unconscious and conscious minds here tonight. You're technically a Muslim, John London? That's cool. I think that it's great, because I think all faiths have something great to offer. I don't like the rules of any of them, because I just don't like rules. But I understand rules are important too. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I do believe that there's a lot, faith doesn't have to, be where we can't love each other still. I don't think that any of them should. Okay, Ms. Rebel, you know it. So sometimes what we want or what we run from is influenced by the things we learned a long time ago before we realized we were learning them. These are the imprints, the embedding, the ingraining in our system. Some of the language that we heard growing up has developed our expectations. And so our experiences will shape us. The nervous system learns how to react or respond or not respond, that flight, fight, and freeze. That's connected with your nervous system. So sometimes our nervous systems don't learn how to not try to protect us. And sometimes it's trying to protect us from what we want. Sometimes it's not trying to protect us from what we want. Sometimes we're trying to rationalize and justify why we should get what we want. So this is why it's important to be intentional and motivated, because it's the highest good of all, not just the highest good of one person. You need to be considered too. That's what I teach on here, is to consider yourselves as well. So many of those patterns, though, those old patterns, is like things now. I talk to some parents, and I say, I don't think that it's right that people make kids share their toys. If they just get toys and then a kid wants to play with it, and they're like, you got to share your toys, because I know when I get toys right now, and I don't want to share my toys and play with, let people play with them. So I think that a lot of that's part of the imprint of not, of thinking that we have to do this. So does that make sense? So anyway, a lot of these things were imprinted in us to not think about ourselves and think about what do we want, and to say, maybe after I get through I totally agree, Stacy. I feel like an Amist. I think it's called, it's called the Amist. Truth in all religions. Yes, because they all have something good. You could find me sitting in an Indian sweat lodge, or you could find me sitting in a kirtan. You could find me sitting in so many different places, because it's just about the rhythm of life. The kirtans have a beautiful rhythm. The sweat lodges push me to my limits and remind me to continue to have faith and to, pray and sweat it out, and really realize that my body has toxins in it, and that's good to get those toxins out. So you can find me in church humming with the monks. You can find me in a lot of places. So I don't like, I think that source is unlimited. And I think that we get limited when we pigeonhole ourselves into one thing. That's just for me. That's just for me, Ms. Rebel. So the question is this still helping me create the life that I want? Well, thank you, John London. So creating the life that we want. God is almighty, therefore it's possible that all religions are true, and he just appeared in different forms. I mean, why not? Why not, right? Why not, VC? I agree. Yes. Ignacio. Well, thank you. Thank you. I do read a lot of spiritual literature. So tonight what we're going to talk about is that we can think, I want this, I want that, but do we talk ourselves out of it with the dark imaginings and what ifs? You have a great evening too. Thank you. So many of us realize that there is mystery in practice, and it must be done with consistency. So I was talking about the magic, mystery, and miracles. And see, this is the thing, this is how I believe in alchemy, like Jesus, created or what have you, because I believe that you have to believe in magic, the creativity. That's where these ideas start off. What do I want? God in the kingdom of heaven is within and without, as they say. Absolutely. As is above is so below. When I'm doing my prayers in the morning, the electromagnetic field, the quantum field, trying to be in alignment with my human being and my human doing self, so that I'm in alignment with what I want. What am I creating? What intention am I setting for the day? It's not just getting through a day, but some of us learn just to get through a day. And so we feel like we're just getting through a day. What the heck? Not really. Said reconnecting. But the real deal is that we're wishing our lives away by not living in the day, not living today. What do I want today? What do I want to create today? And I don't even have to be grandiose about it. And it doesn't get overwhelming if I just do that day, Yes. Apologies. I've been having these issues. Well, it's just, I don't know. Late night. I'm good. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Hello, beautiful mama. So we're talking about conscious choice or childhood programming. In the evolution, I've got a program, or not a program. I have not a program, but I'm having a Zoom. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say I have a Zoom meeting, and we're talking about the evolution of self. Kim was in there last night, as we're talking about the evolution of self with my subscription on Facebook. So we're meeting every other Thursday, but it's really getting conscious about what we're thinking and why we're thinking what we're thinking, and being able to redirect towards what we want. Because a lot of times we spiral down another rabbit hole. So conscious choice or hey Avery, it's good to see you, darling. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here, y'all. So thank you so much. We're digging deeper into what's driving us to what we want this evening, so I'm to the conscious choice or childhood programming part, where it starts, right? So this is where neuroscience, spirituality, addiction recovery, and codependency all come together. Look at that, these different hands. Look, Mom, I got bit today. I got one hand that looks like one of those glove things. It looks better than it did earlier, though. So I've been thinking about it all week, those what ifs, and maybe if we're asking the wrong question, maybe the better question is who's asking the question? Which part of ourselves? Is it the part of ourselves that's coming from fear, or the part of ourselves that's coming from faith? The part of ourselves that is aligned with what we really want? Because sometimes we want something for a while, and then we get it, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be so much work. And it's okay to change our mind then. But don't change our mind before we understand what we've gotten into. Jason Stilwell, that's why I don't criticize other people, because I have hard enough time getting through my days to focus on others. Yes, yes, yes. And so, some of that is that programming, like I was just saying before my connection was started reconnecting. It was that sometimes we were taught, everybody's like, oh, Monday. So we learned by body language and what people say to dread Mondays, even though Monday's not a bad day. None of the days are a bad day. And then we were taught to look forward to Friday. Way Friday. But they had a Texas blue law when I was a kid on Fridays. And so on Sundays, people couldn't buy certain things. But nowadays, none of that matters anymore, right? But people still have that psyche, So is the adult you asking the question of what do you want, or is it the child that just learned how to survive? Because sometimes we talked about how people can be hoarding and things like this, and we want. And a lot of things that we have today was something that we wanted yesterday, but are we hoarding? Because some people are hoarding up things and things. Working as an organizer and decorator, I walked into a lot of spaces where, I would be organizing, and some of the stuff I would be trying to get rid of, and people would be chasing me to the trash or dig it out of the trash after I left. So, and I would be like, but you have 5 closets of this. And they'd be like, but no, I can sew this. And I'm like, so it's about the attachments, right? So I talked about the art of non-attachment also. So there's things that we don't actually see in reality. We see life through this programming. Some of the programming serves us, and some of the programming doesn't serve us. So for example, okay, I was talking to a friend of mine, John London's social conditioning. It starts within the school system, reflecting the 9 to 5 in factory prisons often. Yes. In fact, I woke up this morning, John London, because part of the conditioning is I don't do it anymore, but when I was a kid, we would get up and watch cartoons. And as an adult, we would get up and turn on the news. Well, I haven't done that in years. I don't turn the news on when I get up in the morning. I used to, when I had kids, to see what the weather was going to be like, because that's always the kicker, right? As we say, oh, I'm going to turn the news on so I can see the weather. My challenge these days is looking at the time on my phone, and when I see all the stuff that's on my phone, not diving down the rabbit hole then to see what's going on in my phone, what everything's trying to tell me. But I do put a conscious effort forward to get my coffee and then go up to the rooftop and do my prayers. And those are just my prayers for being able to get up out of my bed, get up the stairs, and be able to be thankful for all of the elements, because I do believe that the elements are a part of us and a part of this life. It's not those material things. It's not what kind of car I drive. It's not what kind of these things. The elements are what's part of us. Without the air, I couldn't breathe. Without the fire, without its warmth and its light, I couldn't see and be warm. And without the water, I wouldn't be hydrated. I wouldn't be cleansed within and without. And without the earth, maybe the earth is in my bones for sure. Yeah. So the earth, if I have the earth in my bones, and the earth is what sustains us, the earth is what we stand on, giving thanks for those things, having gratitude for those things. And how many people, how much of the time do we not think about those things? So that's what I do first thing in the morning. I don't turn the TV on. I try not to go down the rabbit hole of saying, what are they saying? When I look at the time on my phone, so getting in alignment, starting the day, giving thanks where thanks starts, And like I say, I'm not real religious. I mean, I am and I'm not. I'm not in a certain religion. So anyway, my friend and I were talking. This is how your psyche and programming can go. Because my nails started to chip. I'll do my own fingernails, so they don't get done professionally. So they'll start to chip. So my nails were chipping, and she's like, I could never do my nails chipped. It's just, there's nothing, I'm not judging you, but I couldn't do that. I said, I think it's cute. And she's like, oh no, I could never do that. And she goes, it's just that program. And I said, I get it. Because on the nail polish for me, my Aunt Linda used to say when I was a little girl, not to wear the dark colors, for being a little girl, that it's tacky for little girls to wear dark colors. Leo Lee, if you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. If you do something shameful in pursuit of pleasure, the pleasure passes quickly, but the shame endures. Yes, Leo Lee, that was what I was talking about, that instant gratification. Because so when we say, I want this, and then it's instant gratification, are we coming from instant gratification, or are we coming from desire? John London, true. I'm going to make a conscious effort to do that tomorrow, breathing in and reflecting on how I'm a part of the earth like a tree. Absolutely, because a lot of spiritual beliefs think that, like, even with the Reiki, that the tree is a part of your body because you got the root chakra below in the bottom. And so it's like your whole trunk of your body is like a tree. And the heart chakra is green, so it's like the leaves on a tree. So that's, we are kind of like your backbone and up, your tailbone up to your backbone and your neck is like that tree. Hello, JR. Hello, Bald Dark colors attract negativity. You were told that. See, and these are the things. Do they really attract negativity? I don't know, because I wear dark nail polish now, and I don't think it is negative. But what I do, I go outside and prune my tomato plants and compute. Yes, Kim, and that's grounding. That's very good. Jason Stillwell, one of the best choices I ever made was to stop watching cable news 7 years ago. The unneeded stress and anger had disappeared, and it's made dealing. Yes. So it does make it better when we don't get up and start looking at those things. G's Jaded Waste as well. What a conversation I'm joining in tonight. Hello, G's Jaded Waste. And we're still talking about what do we want. And then oftentimes those what ifs start coming up. And so then we start talking ourselves out of what we want. Or like someone just said, I think it was it Jason Jason that said that we also, in instant gratification, we get what we want, but it's not good enough, right? Because it's not fulfilling, it's not got feelings, it doesn't have feelings. And sometimes we're trying to avoid our feelings. And so when we get what we want, the feelings will pass. And so we're still stuck with the feelings. So it's about getting into alignment. So that's what you walked into, G's Jaded Wasted. So in this nail polish colors, I only wear like your basic colors, because I just feel it, with my age and things like this, that just looks best on me with my age. Like my aunts in my head, were the light colors, but I do wear a hot pink, nail polish. I've seen it. Haven't done my nails late, in the past week. Or I will wear red, but you won't see me hardly wearing blues, even though I think there's some pretty blue colors. You won't see me put that on my fingers, at least. I might put it on my toes, but I don't really do that because old-fashioned. That's in my psyche. So, and it's okay because we pick our battles, right? We're always gaining euphoric upon gaining showers of praises. We are like the universe experiencing itself. It's amazing. We all have elements from the stars and a stardust. Easy to forget that we are divine in nature. We are divine in nature. I love that. Thank you, John London, because yeah, I'll sit back in my chair and go, I am divine. I don't have a problem saying it either. I tell Kim that too. So, yeah, we are divine, and I love that's another thing that I do up on that rooftop, looking at those stars with my coffee in the morning and making the wishes upon the stars and wondering, I think I talked about that Monday or Wednesday that, when we talk about the afterlife, what if our loved ones are stars up in the sky, I don't know. Geez, jaded waste is, oh, absolutely. I do start to recognize the pattern of instant gratification lately, especially buying a bike I always wanted, but I realized it's not the goal, it's the progress. Yes. Yeah, then we appreciate it. When we go from instant gratification, we just get it and it's not going to be enough. But if it's something that we have worked this practice and development, when I know he does, Mom. So when we work this practice and development, thank you, Kim. You are amazing, beautiful, confident, and divine too. So that magic, mystery, and miracles, that I was talking about is like I have the candles prayers. After I get off my roof, I come in and I pray in front of the candles for my family and friends, for you all and my clients and my support groups and things like this, and the people who've impressed and put upon my life in the past, whether they're in the spiritual realm, the physical realm, the spiritual realm, or the digital realm. It's like I just want to remember, to start my day that way. I love candles, crystals, and cards and things and all this stuff. So anyway, back to, but those are our preferences. So when we know what our preferences are, and we're not trying to change for somebody else and want what we want because somebody else wants that once, or we want to impress somebody else with something, right? So it's about being in alignment. What do I want? So, with my friend Soraya and I talking about the nail polish, neither of us is right or wrong. It's just our preferences. These are simply our learned beliefs, and those tiny little beliefs don't hurt us. They're just preferences. John London, it sounds a lot better to say divine than we are God, but we are all connected to collectively a part of God. I know that's what I love, John London. That's why I think that it works so well when we get here, because we all have something to offer and we all get to realize that in here, because we are part of a whole, being one, divinely connected, and I say wholly directed with WHOLLY because we are whole, and without each other we're not. But there are some instances and preferences that if we want to, and here we are a collective, and sometimes, people who may not be in the part of the collective yet, sometimes they're ahead of us, sometimes they're behind us, but we're all part of something greater than ourselves. I believe it's a soul connection myself, and so I think that the soul stays connected. These bodies give out and die, but the soul stays connected. So Sunday, I told you I'm going to read y'all the little soul in the sun. So that's what I'm going to do Sunday. Yeah. So some programming becomes much bigger though, right? The money, relationships, success, God, trust, conflict, love, worthless, worthiness, safety, and failure. Those things can become, the contrast. So the other side of success is somebody's feeling like they're not a success. So what would they be feeling like, or these things? And so sometimes, and I've told y'all that I went into therapy and I was like, I don't understand why some people are successful and I'm not. And it's consistency. So it's about that consistency that makes it successful. So when we want something, we have to stay consistent. I was invited to a pool party next week, and they're like, are you going to the pool party? I said, no, it's on Friday night. I've got a Friday Night Live on Friday, so I'm not going to the pool party, because it's about staying consistent, So, and then God is, God can be everybody's God, it's not just one God. So, and then, I mean, it is, but it's not, you know what I mean? They say one God in some of the faiths, because I've been in the Catholic Church, one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that's seen and unseen. And I do believe all of that, you know, but I believe that it's all coming to, that everybody has that one. No, I don't agree with that Baldy's thing. But some people can. I do believe some people can command, and it becomes. But I prefer to be humble. I think that we kind of consider ourselves superior if we think we can command somebody else to do something, because I don't. I think we need to all be a part of the whole. And if commanding, what if everybody was commanding one another? That would be a problem. Thank you, John London. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you all committing and being here too. So that means a lot to me. I know you could be other places, but you're sitting here with me. So thank you. Thank you very much. Conflict. A lot of people that I work with don't like conflict and confrontation. I get it. I didn't like conflict and confrontation. And I had to learn that, my therapist had to tell me, Stacy, it's not spiritual to be abused, because sometimes people will abuse you if you don't stand up for yourself. Now, we don't have to be mean standing up for ourselves, because sometimes I see people just being downright mean, saying some hateful things, standing up for themselves. G's jaded wasted. Humility keeps you learning long after pride convinces you. That exactly. Pride's linked with arrogance, isn't it? G's jaded wasted. I had to learn that. So the strongest people don't need to prove their worth. They let their actions speak for them. Yes, exactly. Well, I love that you love Friday and date night too, Mom. Yes, G's jaded wasted. And even when Jesus was confronted with people and they were accusing him of things, he was like, I am. He didn't try to defend himself. So love, learning to love ourselves. A lot of, I know that I used to love other people more than myself, and thank goodness I loved my kids more than myself, or I wouldn't be clean and sober for 29 years, and I wouldn't be sitting here doing this, and I wouldn't be doing all of this. So none of this stuff our self-realization isn't about us to judge ourselves. It's to realize where we had these survival skills maybe from growing up. Yes, it is. And so we can turn those into tangible tools, because we're like the instant gratification not being enough. We're never going to feel like enough if we're not realizing and taking that into ourselves and aligning with our intentions and motivations. If we're aligning with somebody else's intentions and motivations, it's not what you want, really. It's you're doing what they want, and you want what they want to make them happy, but that's why no one's satisfied, is because it's supposed to be mutual. Safety and failure. Safety is at that root chakra that we talked about earlier, is when we can sit still and be grounded, because we'll be running from and to things when we're not grounded. Failure. A lot of people are afraid of failure, but failure is a part of life. But sometimes parents, I haven't seen Raven yet, Mom. Baldy Sphinx says, absolutely, it's being in the same dimension of being at total peace within and without the connectivity of every creation. Yes. I love the paradoxes and the polarities. And see, that's the thing, is as human beings, we always want things to be positive and good. And we want to think that negative and bad is not part of life, that it's just, that's part of that catastrophizing. It is part of life. Everything's good until it's not, and everything's bad until it's not, and everything's evolving. So looking at the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, because that's the thing. What about when it's one-sided? Bronx, thank you for asking that, because that's why I said we want things mutual. Because if it's one-sided, you're wanting what you want because that's what they want, right? But you're not getting to want, you don't even get to know why you want what you want, right? Ramon, why so serious? I love the Joker. So learning what we want. So it'll be one-sided until we learn what we want. When, I don't know if you're talking about dating or relationships or what, but when I'm working with people who are single, who have had these one-sided relationships, I've had those one-sided relationships before too. And, The thing was that I tell my, people that I'm working with, take yourself on a date. That's when it's disappointed. Absolutely, absolutely. Dating. Yes. So I tell, the people that I work with when they're single, take yourself on a date. Find out what you want, because we teach people how to treat us, and it sets a precedence in the beginning. We can all be nice in the beginning. But see, the thing is a lot of times in codependency, because a lot of people in the codependency ends up in the one-sided relationship. So a lot of times in codependency, someone will say, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. What do you want to do? And then nobody knows what they want to do. So then one person takes the reins. And then sometimes we give that person the power to always take the reins and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do what they want to do. Then 3, 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road, we're like, we always do what you want to do. And then it's like, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, so it's about learning to be comfortable with ourselves. I know after my divorce, my therapist told me, don't date for a year. She said, don't date for a year. She encouraged me to heal myself in that year and not date, and to figure out what I wanted. Body Sphinx, my consciousness never gets extinguished ever. It will leave this earthly form and equalizes with the universal. Absolutely. I think that too, Body Sphinx. Are we getting some A's there, Ramon? Mad Haven Drapers. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank y'all. So when we're looking at the conscious versus subconscious and the unconscious, so it's about consciousness is how we're going to get what we want. So the conscious mind. Let's look at the conscious mind. Thank you, Kim. I don't know what that was about. So that part's talking with me right now, making the decisions. That's me talking right now. It's the conscious mind, making decisions. Our reasons, our plans, what we choose. It's maybe only 5% of our mind, the conscious mind. The subconscious is your autopilot. When you realize you got to go to the bathroom, this is connected with your autonomic nervous system. When you decide you want to go to the bathroom, you just get up and go to the bathroom. There's no mechanics to it. Same thing as if you're triggered by something. That's your habits, the patterns, those emotional routines. So if you're a person who shuts down, when you see conflict and confrontation, you just automatically do it. If you are in passive aggressiveness, if you haven't learned what passive aggressiveness is, then you may use that as a trigger point. And that's just giving people the business, or, our little child, the inner child coming out is what it usually does, is passive aggressiveness. At least it was for me. The emotional routines. You're driving home without remembering the last 5 miles, right? This is your subconscious mind. You know how to get home, but you don't remember driving the last 5 miles. Brushing your teeth, typing your password. This is where repetition lives. So this is also where addictions begin, in this subconscious mind. Subconscious. Why do so many people fear spiders yet ignore the things that pose far greater threats? And I don't know. I really don't know. Arachnophobia, right? I don't know about that, because I'm a coach, not a therapist. So I don't know. But I know that a lot of us fear things. Some people were even taught to fear spiders, I think. But I don't know that everyone is. I don't know what causes that. There's so many fears that people have that are the phobias that I don't understand. But it doesn't mean that they're not valid. It just means I just don't understand. So in the subconscious mind, the autopilot, that people pleasing is something people will automatically do. And that's setting you up for the one-sided relationships, as if you're people pleasing and you don't realize you're people pleasing. This is when we're saying, I don't know. And then we're just admiring somebody so much until we start all of our little layers start falling down. And then we're like, oh, no. Some of the things that attract people to certain people later on repulse them from certain people, right? So it's learning not to put people up on a pedestal, but also that they're not beneath you either, that mutualness. But sometimes our learned behaviors taught us to put people on pedestals, to people please. So addictions can begin that way. If you saw addiction growing up, like I did, you may think, oh, well, if I gain weight, then I just take a diet pill, or I just do something else so I can lose weight, just what I've seen done, you know. Checking your phone. I know that a lot of us are like that. We are all, our subconscious, our subconscious mind, and has this. Like I said, I get up in the morning, I see what time it is, and so a lot of times people are just looking at their phone. Sometimes I can be watching TV, be bored watching TV, and look at my phone while I'm watching TV. I think a lot of people are doing that, and I'm really not absorbing the TV, whatever it is that I have it on for. So it's kind of like I'm mind messing with myself because I've got too many things going on at one time. And then we say, oh, I can't focus. Well, you're sitting here with the phone with the TV on. Hello. That's why we're not focused. Shopping. That's something that, we may get upset about something and decide to buy ourselves something nice for our pain. And not realize that we're sabotaging. Body's thing. I'm a veteran and a sole survivor of my regiment today and realize my life's purpose late. I believe every comrade aspired to the energy form upon achieving the realization of the purpose of life. Yes. And that's what I do, why I do this. Why I do this is because, I lost my son at 18 years old. We don't know when our expiration date is. Thank you for your service. But we don't know when our day is. So it's really important to me to teach, if I share things, to share, be kind to one another. Are you going to leave it like this when people are being hateful? You don't have to like everybody, but you don't have to be hateful. So are you going to leave it like that? Because you could kick over tomorrow, they could too. And are you going to have regrets about the behavior? Sometimes distance is enough. Sometimes you can't. But how are you going to be with that? Because life is fleeting. So we've talked also about what happens in the afterlife, and we don't really know, but we all have our own conscious or unconscious thoughts about that, So, and doing the things that you want to do. That's why I want to go to Europe while I can still do it, because you hear so many people who are dying and say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. They had once, but they were waiting for this. They were waiting for that. They were waiting for somebody's approval. They were waiting. And it's like, life is fleeting. And so sometimes unconscious, is that subconscious is we date the same person over and over. Maybe it's the same person, maybe it's a different person with the same thing, same one-sided relationship, until we heal the part of us that doesn't see ourselves clearly. And when we see ourselves clearly, we know who and what we're compatible with and what we're not compatible with. But I know even for me, I used to not think about, am I compatible with this person? I just wanted to be with that person. But I didn't think about, are you even compatible with that person, when I was young? Love your clarity and validating my thoughts. You are very welcome. You are very welcome. Thank you for sharing, Jason Stillwell. That's why I always have something Star Wars on the TV. I can actually get focused and stay focused, take a break when needed, and jump back into studies. Awesome. Awesome. See, and like Mom's saying, for when Mom wanted to go, one of her bucket list things was to go to the Lost Sea in Tennessee. Where was that, Mom? Because Kim's in Tennessee, but she's not. Kim's near Nashville. So we went to the Lost Sea in Tennessee before, my mom had a stroke. And so we went before Mom had a stroke. So that was, why'd you retract that, Mom? She probably didn't mean to retract it. Anyway. But yeah, we did that before Mom had a stroke, and I'm so glad we got to go. We also got to go to Hawaii. We got to do some things, So the unconscious. You once spoke to an old woman in a theater, and when asked where I'm from, I told her Germany. It was in Switzerland, and I can remember so well how sad she turned and told me that she always wanted to visit. Aw. Yeah, that's why I want to go to Europe, is because there's so much I can see over there, and I want to go while I can walk. I think I've got my great grandma's genetics, so I plan on walking. My great grandma could walk until she was 89. Sweetwater, Tennessee. Yeah, it was in Sweetwater. Yeah. So the unconscious goes even deeper. Okay, y'all. Now we're going to get into the unconscious. So we talked about the conscious mind, the part that's making decisions, the reasons, the part that's sitting here in front of the computer with each other right now, the plans and what we have going on. And then the subconscious mind, our habits, our patterns, these things that we just know to do, that we just do habitually. Where would I go in Europe and what would I like to see? I'm going to move to Spain eventually because my best friend is in Spain, G's Jaded Waste is, and then I'm going to go to Italy. And I want to visit Italy. I'm thinking that in 2 years, after living in Spain for 2 years, then I'm going to go try to find a place and buy a place in Italy. But at first I've got to go to Italy, but I'm thinking like near Rome. You want to go to England, France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Israel, and Egypt. Yes, those are all neat places, Jason, because I do like the mystical and spiritual and the philosophical things. So I want to go to Italy and Greece and maybe Egypt, but definitely Italy and Greece, So, and then I want to go to Germany and buy a cuckoo clock in Germany. I want to go to London and go to the vintage stores, the thrift stores in London. So I'll be over in John London's neighborhood when I go do that. We love to go to the vintage stores and thrifting. So that's what we're going to do when I get over there. And there is so much history, beautiful history. 3.5 hours from me, never been there. It was cool. It was cool, Kim. So driving home without remembering okay, we already did that. So the unconscious, the deeper stuff. What happens? Grinch is in his house playing with his toys. Thank you for asking, Viola. Yes, those Black Forest cuckoo clocks, they do look cool. I had one time and I got rid of it, but I'm going to get a new one when I was married before, and I'm going to get a new one because when I do get old and retire, I'm going to be sitting around my house with my coffee pot, my chimenea, and my cuckoo clock with my rugs because I want to go to Morocco too, and with my rugs and things, and I'll just be sitting there chilling with my coffee and my cuckoo clock looking at nature with the Grinch. Body Sphinx. I'm amazed how we perceive the universe. How huge is this little wobbly rock floats across the emptiness of the dark space? I know, right? Grinch will love it. Yes. Geez, Jaded Wasted. I live in UK for the past 10 years. I'm from the Baltic states, but went around the whole Europe. All countries got its own positives and cons. Thank you so much, Geez, Jaded Wasted. I love the history there. It's so beautiful. Yes. Viola agrees. So the unconscious is the things that you don't even know are influencing you. So, marry for a green card. I won't get married. No. You mean for me to get a green card for Europe or you to get a green card I'm in Mexico right now. But this goes even deeper. The things you don't know that are influencing you in your unconscious mind. There's always the one. Yeah. You are right, Viola. So, the things that we don't know are influencing us. There's things that's buried. We have so much buried in our brain. It's like I've told y'all before, our cell phones, it has all this data, all these phone numbers from way back, all this data floating around in there. So is our brain like that too. And that's the unconscious mind, and so when we get in our higher mind, our divine mind is when we do our breathing. And that brings us to being the conscious, to what do we want? But sometimes the unconscious mind is making the decisions for us. Things we don't remember we don't even know it influences us. You meet someone and immediately you don't trust them. That's the unconscious mind. Sometimes people do meet people and immediately don't trust them. Maybe they remind them of a person that they knew before that they didn't trust. So they don't even know this person. They don't trust them. Why? You don't know. Maybe it's their tone, their perfume, their body language, the way that they laugh, their facial expressions. They remind your nervous system of someone who once hurt you. And so your body reacts before your conscious mind ever has a chance. Jason Stilwell, that's funny. I have a dream of owning an authentic German cuckoo clock and a real grandfather clock that plays that song. They're cool. I love the clocks. I think they're so cool. Yeah. We don't want to just sit by and watch time go by, though, do we? We want to live in this time. So this is why healing matters, so we can be conscious of why we're choosing what we're choosing and why, if we want something, that we give up. Where's that belief in us, in the unconscious mind, that we need to give up? So the nervous system isn't trying to ruin your life. You know, I talk about the nervous system a lot, and it's not trying to ruin your life. It just is there to remind you to heal. Our body tells us what we need. A lot of times we don't listen, or a lot of times we reach for things outside of ourselves. You know, unless you have migraine headaches, you know, a lot of times people will just reach to their head to heal their head. We want to tag along with time. Yes, we do want to tag along with time. So a lot of times we know we're our own hands, you know, we'll reach for the things that are hurting us. Body speaking, don't you think how we keep re-examining our relationships of me, myself, thoughts, feelings, and the matter that is me as seen in the mirror? Yes. Yes, because with our perceptions, that's, you know, with our brain and our mind, and, you know, the mind part is our part that's present and with us, but the brain has a lot of information in it. But the mind is our divine mind, where we can choose, you know, and be aware of what we're doing. But when the brain's running the data in the background, then sometimes we don't know why we're choosing what we're choosing, or why we're not choosing what we're not choosing, why we're doing what we're doing. And sometimes we just label ourselves. We'll just stick on a label that I'm stupid, or I'm lazy, or I'm this, or I'm that. And that's negative self-dialogue. And that's not who you are at all, because what? We're all divine, right? So it doesn't serve us to slap these labels on ourselves. It doesn't. It's not who you are, but it's who, you know, whether it was programmed into you that was you, or what have you. When we realize how powerful that we are, and yet reality is me, just a puff of energy. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think when I'm looking at the stars or looking at the sea. It's just so big and vast, but I am a part of it. I'm a part of it. All those drops, or all those, you know, it's cool. Like, you know, you all have said, like John London and you, we're a part of this energy. We are energy. And so, yeah. So let me stay on topic here. So the nervous system's just trying to protect you. But sometimes it's an overprotection based on the unconscious mind, right? So unfortunately, it protects us from things that are no longer dangerous. Hubby says underground lake and caverns sounds scary. It wasn't scary at all. It was some work. It was some work. We had to take some breaks getting up and down in there. What do you do about the voices in the head? Well, sometimes people need medicine for the voices in the head, you know. But it just depends. I'm not a doctor, so I really can't advise you on the voices in the head. I can tell you about negative self-dialogue if you're controlling that. But sometimes if it's, you know, clinical voices in the head, I don't want to give any kind of advice on that, because I don't know. You know, that would be medicine and psychiatry, and I'm not medicine and psychiatry. But I do know about negative self-dialogue, about, you know, because I thought that I was stupid growing up. Y'all have heard me say that. I thought I was stupid because my, you know, mom went up to the school one time because somebody hit me on the head with a pin, you know, and then my 5th grade teacher told me, put your thinking cap on. And then my 7th grade teacher told me, you run like hot and cold water. Because sometimes I would be really smart and sometimes not. And what I learned as an adult, what I know as an adult, was that I was too focused on the problems at home. Sometimes it was my focus, is that I didn't have, you know, I was just worried about things at home, or worried about this. Yeah, y'all might like it, Kim and Ramon. That's you, me, us, and all the same puff of electrician. see, that's the thing is when I'm doing the breathing up, and we were all breathing the same air, right? When we look at the elements, we are all breathing the same air. The sun is shining on us all. So none of us are special, but all of us are special. This is that paradoxes and polarities. The sun shines on us all. We're all breathing the same air. We may not like people, but we're all breathing the same air. And so the same with the earth is you don't know who's walked on the earth before you or who's walking on the earth after you. We're all walking in a path. And then the same with the earth, air, water. The water, when we get in the sea, all the people that have been in the sea with us, the water, cleansing inside and out. So it's here for all of us. So we don't get to that superiority. Jason Stillwell, I sometimes wonder how many experiences I've missed out on because my subconscious thoughts tell me I couldn't get or didn't deserve it. So I gave up until I decided to change last year. I'm so glad you decided to change, Jason Stillwell. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you dropped in here too, Valdi Singh. Thank you, John London. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So my dad, I used to say these things to my dad, talk to my dad about these kind of things. He'd be like, he'd listen to me for a while and he'd be like, shove you in the shallow water before you get too deep, because I love to talk about deep concepts and things. So your nervous system protects you from things that are no longer dangerous. So sometimes if you're about to get hit by a car, that's valid nervous system protection. If you're about to fall, trip and fall, that's, when you see that, that's your nervous system too. But sometimes your nervous system is afraid somebody's not going to like you. And then you're going to, think you're less than when you think somebody's not going to like you, right? Thank y'all so much. So, and this is why people sometimes sabotage relationships. They avoid opportunities, Jason Stillwell, right? Avoid opportunities, run from intimacy, and control everyone, and overthink and micromanage people because they're trying to make sure they want that certainty, that sureness. I know, John London. Thank you. Yes, it is nice to meet new regular viewers. I know, we miss them. Maybe they'll get back in here. So, Baldy, how do you evaluate the gut feelings of intuition? Well, the reality is Baldy, I had a program that Kim was in it, is that we talked about how the central nervous system and the neural pathways along, with the central nervous system and the chakras, intuition, yes. And the chakras, because there's so much stuff going on in our bodies that we don't even realize is going on. So we have a gut brain that's always communicating with our brain right here. So what happens is, like we talked about earlier, is that root chakra from below and that tree that rises up. Well, in the root chakra, I just sent Ramon through this the other night, but the root chakra is, the red and the brown, and then your next chakra is your relationship chakra. And so these things are connected to those things. A lot of times people's gut feelings are associated with your relationships and other people, and so that's where our gut feelings may come from. And it's feeding that way. It's your amygdala is always communicating back and forth through both the brains, the gut brain and the brain in your head, So you do have the gut brain, but a lot of it's linked to your central nervous system too, because when we're expecting or reacting to something, our breath speeds up, the respiratory, and then your digestive system. It's going to cause, anytime your respiratory and your heart rate change, what it causes is a release of chemicals that sink into your gut. It can even be like toxicity, like acids, that your body may release as a result of what you're thinking or feeling, and so it could release that into your gut. And then people want to put something on their gut, whether they need it or not sometimes, because they may be re-feeling a feeling or re-experiencing an experience. Or they're feeling like they're re-experiencing an experience. Does that make sense? Jason Stillwell. I thought my lady friend wouldn't like me, so I avoided her, but she pulled me in, and I'm ever glad that she did. See, it's good that we don't, don't miss out on those opportunities. Okay, thank you, Martin Week. Bronx, how it throws the system off, huh? Yes, it does throw the system off. Our past sometimes, when we're understanding the present from our past, so it's about being present here, because when our nervous system is amped up, anticipating and strategizing whatever somebody says, we may be on the defensive and not know it. We may be on the defensive. A lot of times I think that people are on the defensive and they don't even know they're on the defensive. So that's how relationships get sabotaged, is that people will think that people are saying something that they're not really saying because of that tone or something like that. Thank you, John London. Yes, the mind, body, and soul, and that mind, body, and soul deals with the self, and cells. The self, cells, and soul. So it's all connected. So, because when we do the breathing here at the end, it does regenerate, like the air. Your veins need air in your veins. Your body needs air. I don't know if just a chocolate heart would prevent the divorce. I think there's got to be a lot more to the chocolate heart, Bronx. Seeing stuff that's not there. Yes, making it up. I used to make stuff up, and I had to learn not to make stuff up, Rodolfo. Yes, and I got one for you. Who is that saying, my heart and brain, my leg? I make believe that our body isn't us, but the controller, which has nothing to do with the body. Well, I have to ponder that one, Ramon. There's something going on in our bodies all the time. All the time. It's getting to know our bodies and have a relationship. A lot of us don't realize we don't have a relationship with our body, especially in self-sabotaging. Is that people will just not realize how much it's affecting their body, like my dad used to do. And he used to tell me, he died at 58. And he used to tell me, if I would have known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of my body, because he did self-sabotage a lot. And so with that self-sabotaging, he tore up his body. And he really would have liked to have done things that he couldn't do, So sometimes people sabotage those relationships, avoid opportunities, run from intimacy, control everyone, overthink, micromanage, people please, and the nervous system says, we've survived this way before. So it keeps doing the same thing, expecting different results to protect itself. But that's not healing. So healing says, thank you, but we don't have to survive like that anymore. Angela. Hello, Angela. I'm glad you're here, though. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. Yes. Who's controlling the body? The brain. This is thank you, Bronx. Cheese Jaded Waste is good night, everyone. Have priorities for sleep. Yes. Good night, Cheese Jaded Wastes. I'm glad you were able to come in here. Martin, absolutely. Furthermore, the dark chocolate. That's what they say. I've heard that. Ramon, my homework. Okay. All right. I'll get back with you on that on Tuesday. Good night, Cheese Jaded Wastes. Angela. Yes. I'm so glad you made it, Angela. Having so much realization through you. Exactly my experiences. Oh, good. Thank you, Body Singh. Jason Stillwell. That's what I like about getting older. I'm reaching a point where I'm letting the past go when there's nothing you can do about it, and it don't care people's opinions unless it's constructive, right? All right. So now, uncertainty is not the enemy. Okay, a lot of times people are having a hard time navigating through uncertainty. It's an adventure if we let it be. Yes, it is. Her input is very valuable. So uncertainty is not the enemy. This is where it becomes really this is where we get really powerful, when we understand that we can have uncertainty and still be secure and be okay, you know. So what we're talking about tonight, Angela, is we've talked about, what do we want? We talked about on Monday night, and then on Wednesday morning we talked about but what if, because a lot of people have those what ifs catastrophes. And so tonight we're trying to tie it all together with, being clear on what we want, because the subconscious and the unconscious and the, all these different consciousnesses, sometimes we want instant gratification and it's not lasting for what we want. So sometimes that's self-sabotage when we go to instant gratification for what we want, and realize in consciousness and unconsciousness, if we haven't healed, we may think we have needs that we don't even know that we have within ourselves. So that may be what we want. And it's the importance of healing. Viola, love to the moderators tonight too. They did not waste a second. I know, right? Kim and Angie are amazing moderators. Kim's done really well with this. She ain't taking nothing. So I'm posting from Switzerland, and we Swiss know chocolate like nobody else in the world. Well, I bet you do, Angela. Most people are making bad choices because they're full of fear. That's exactly right. That's what I was talking about. Is it what is it from fear or faith? Are you making the choices from fear or faith? Because the fear ones are going to be the instant gratification ones, right, Angela? And the faith ones, we realize that it's going to take time, that transformation happens in the mystery and this uncertainty in life. And that's where you got to have faith, is knowing that, okay, I had this idea. That's the creative part. That's the magical, is, okay, I have this magical idea. And then we believe in magic. So you have to believe in your idea. And then you go to the next one where it's the transformation. It's the mystery through the transformation. And so we have to have faith, or we'll be too afraid of the fear of failure. So we'll sabotage. So it's important, that mystery part is the most important part, the in-between, the seen and the unseen, right? And so it's about having faith, because that's the transformation part, and that's that practice and development. So it's believing and have faith, and then the last is the manifestation. It's going to happen. We just don't know when, but it's going to, if it's meant for you, then it's going to happen. We talked about serendipities and synchronicities on Wednesday. So thank you, Body Swing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. True, Drayson. Realizing we can't control how others perceive the world is a mature take. Yes, it is. See, when we aren't healed, we have this inner child wound sometimes. And so we're feeling left out of things, right? Sometimes we are feeling left out of things. And so we're afraid to ask for what we want, because sometimes we're afraid we're not going to get it. So that fear, very interesting topic, Stacy. We need to be optimistic. Most of us grew up in negative environments. Yeah, we have to be optimistic and not be filled with the fear. So most people believe they need certainty before they can relax. The only if disease is when I get here, because we talked about what do I want and how do I get there. And like the there is going to move. The there is going to move. You're going to get there, because we were there where you were, 10 years ago, you might have wanted to be where you are now. So the there is always changing and evolving. So a lot of people won't relax. They're trying to get there. So they're just, maybe just working and thinking this is just all I'm going to do. Martin. Oh, yeah. Martin's must be new here. But yeah, he sees a bird cage and some books. So yeah. Thank you, John London. I appreciate that. Ramon, like tomorrow. Yes, we can't control tomorrow. When we do the breathing, when I used to do meditation, I did go to a unity church, which, they embody all the different belief systems, the Tao and everything else. There you go, Kim. You learning. Kim didn't kick him out. She's being nice. We'll pray for you, Martin. So, what was I going to say? Thank you, Viola. Bodies. I'm always on the determined side of optimism, and it's a matter of choice that will be all right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to learn to make mistakes to get what we want. Absolutely. And that's a part of life, is making the mistakes to get what we want. Bodies thing. But it's not easy when opinions matter. Everybody's got an opinion, and some opinions do matter and some opinions don't. It depends. Like in work, your opinion may, it's important to listen to opinions in work, but and it's important to have those talks. So is it an opinion or is it a talk? Because sometimes people can be very opinionated, and so that kind of leaves them closed off for understanding sometimes, or it could be a perception. Yeah. Yeah, Kim. I'm not worried about him. Yeah. Escar. Thank you so much, Escar. I appreciate it. John London. Some people really don't like books. My mom gave many of mine away over, oh my goodness, 500 euros worth. But at least the charity got quality first editions. Wow. Wow, John London. Yes, at least they did. That's right, Viola. Absolutely. I wasn't worried about what he was saying, but yeah, it kind of puts a negative thing in there, doesn't it? So when we're looking at uncertainty not being the enemy, till 40, I was molded by opinions and military culture. Yes, that is hard. Absolutely, absolutely, Baldy's that thing. I see what that you're saying. Yes, that can be so hard. Yeah. Yeah. Grinch is just, yeah, he's there. Martin, we stay on topic here. You didn't have to, I'm going to tell him, you stay on topic here. And that's not on the topic, so you're welcome to be here, but we stay on topic here, okay? Thank you, Rodolfo. Rodolfo's good. I love y'all. Y'all are amazing. So this is where it becomes real, you become powerful, is when you realize that uncertainty is not your enemy, that it's an adventure, is I don't know how this is going to happen. And then, just picking seeing somebody who's, you're done with, Martin. Ramon's cheering you on. Get them. Okay, so most people believe that you need certainty before they'll relax, and the opposite's actually true. Healing teaches us to relax first, that we relax, so we can tolerate uncertainty. Life has always been uncertain, and it always will be. Control simply gives us the illusion that it's. I know, Martin, thank you, but we stay on topic here. Thank you. You're welcome to stay here, but let's not talk about my background, because that's not what we're talking about. That's why people come here. They're not looking at my background. I'm not one of those pretentious people that cleans the windows before somebody comes to visit the house. They're coming to see me. They're not coming to see the windows, and we're doing this talk. So thank you, Rodolfo. Angela, making mistakes isn't the end of the world. I know, right? Sometimes well-meaning people try to protect us from making mistakes, but that's how we learn. Because I don't know about y'all, but I learned the hard way for a long time. It's getting easier now that I'm older, but I learned a lot of things the hard way, and I'm still here. Good day, good day. Body's thing. To err is human. That's right. Thank you, Martin. So this connects, this connects to Monday, what I was talking about Monday. What if becomes, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know isn't a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's okay to say, I don't know. We say, I don't know, then we're open to grow. Ramon, that means you don't like the way you see, you may leave. Yes. Thank you. Balaj Zaraka. Okay. So anyway, back to the topic. I don't know isn't weakness, it's humility. You know, I had to learn how to say, I don't know. So that's the thing. When I was talking on Wednesday, I think it was, I was saying I breathe and pray and say, I don't know. It could have been on a TikTok on um, Thursday. But I just breathe and pray and say, I don't know. When I breathe, I'm breathing, getting regulated so that my digestive system, my respiratory system, and my cardiovascular system, there's peace in the breath. We're going to do that here in a few minutes at the end. We're getting close to the end. And then I'd pray. I'll say, remove this obsession, whatever it is I'm thinking about or obsessing about or what have you. And then I say, I don't know, because I don't know leaves me open to the miracles. Because if I'm not trying to make something up, if I'm not trying to make up a story about how I think things are supposed to happen, then miracles can happen. That's what can happen. Jason Stillwell, you're right. It took a long time to go back to school because my mind put all the roadblocks in the way. But when I started, all those roadblocks were non-existent. Absolutely. Congratulations. That's really cool. Baldy Sphinx. I've enjoyed every second with you, your thought and validation, Stacy. Well, thank you. I'm glad you have. Are you still staying for the breathing or you got to go? I'm not dropping a freestyle. That is not the topic this evening, Balaz. You're welcome to stay here, but that's not what the topic is. We talked about what do you want Monday, we talked about what ifs on Wednesday, and now we're talking about what drives you today. Okay? So we're talking about what's giving us our drive to what we want. Is it instant gratification? The different types of want, because getting clear on what we want. As a retired psychologist, I'm perfectly capable of intellectually following your content. I didn't call you a troll, but you know, they like to stay on topic here. So thank you, Martin, for your input and stuff, but we're staying on topic. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you want people to subscribe to your channel? Because we'll be happy to encourage them to if you want to. Belaz, which evening are you dropping? I don't do that. Angela, we tend to imagine the worst things about everything and everyone. And some of that was learned too, right? Is that the things that we heard growing up from 1 to 12, you know, so if the parents, and I know that you had some trying parents, you know, the parents can like imprint these things of like, you know, the cleaning the windows or you know, everything. In story time, was it story time or something? I think it was story time. Thank you, YouTube moderation one. In story time, we talked about how, you know, somebody grew up in a house where everything looked perfect on the outside, and you know, people that saw the family thought everything was perfect, but there was no communication, right? So we talked about that. Is there no communication? Because then people weren't learning to communicate. They didn't learn how to express themselves, and expressing ourselves is what we were put here to do. Not to, but you know, doing that, communicating in a healthy way, in a way that we can connect rather than repulse. But sometimes we are going to repulse people, even when we're being nice. Baldy's saying, I'm happy. Afternoon tea with my mom in a couple of minutes. Thank you for every member on your blog for being respectful. Bye, Baldy's Fing. You enjoy that tea. That's so cool. I know your mom appreciates it, so enjoy it. Thank you for being here this evening, okay? All right. I hope I see you again. I'll be back on here Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for story time. All right. Leo Lee, I lived a lonely life, genuinely never had anyone, but I'm not upset about it because I haven't known different. Sometimes it's good to be alone if you're not lonely. You can be alone and not be lonely. I'm alone a lot of times, but I'm not lonely, you know, but it's also good to connect. I get to connect with people. I connect with people on here. I get to connect with people, you know, out in public. I connected with Tabanos earlier today. But connection is good also, you know, a lot of people think I'm extroverted, but I'm introverted sometimes too, because I have to refill my energy, you know. So, Martin, no, not yet. But I'm considering starting my own channel here in Switzerland. I haven't had the time so far. I only sold my practice a year ago. Okay. You are very welcome, Baldy Sphinx. I appreciate you. I hope to see you again. Enjoy the tea. Viola, it's okay to enjoy your own company. It is okay to enjoy our own company. in this 2026, men's feelings matter. They do matter. They do matter. Men's feelings do. And I'm so proud that men are starting to, understand their own feelings, because they were taught you do this, this, and this, and you don't have feelings, and don't do this, and da 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 da. And men were taught in this mold too. And I'm glad that men are starting to learn to feel their feelings. Hello, live, love, and dreams. Searching for direction or a sign to take correct path. Can I trust my way, or do I just go for it? Or regret not taking risks from fear of the past life decisions and not being successful discovering who I am. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. We've talked about that. Are we driven by our subconscious, our unconscious, or the conscious? Which part of our minds are we driven by? Viola, thank you so much. My first time here and today are two different experiences. Oh, you are very welcome, Viola. I hope that you liked them both, that you liked them all. And I, always appreciate you being here. So thank you for being here, because I try to be, keep us busy with just continuing, but offer something different with each one. So I hope that that's helpful. I usually pick a topic to lead into, for everything to lead into something through the week, and then we can expand upon, and then we start a new topic the next week, but we build on it, just like what do you want and how to get there, and then realizing that there is going to move eventually. So this uncertainty, like was mentioned a while ago, is that live, love, dreams, is that uncertainty. So all of the things that you mentioned is navigating life with uncertainty, and we just do it like Nike. I had a friend that she used to encourage me and say, do it scared, do it scared. So it's about getting the intention and the motivation for what we want to do. Am I doing it because I want to do it? Am I doing it because somebody else thinks I need to do it? Am I feeling comfortable in my own skin from within? And that's what I hope to help everyone understand, is it's okay to feel comfortable in your own skin from within and doing what you want, because that's what you want to do, not because that's what somebody else wants you to do, because you won't be satisfied. So it's about getting clear about what we want so that you can be satisfied. Ramon, sometimes it's the only way to have a smart conversation. Yes. Money ain't enough to make me feel like a rich man. What would make you feel like a rich man? Leo Lee. Smart conversations. It's good to be able to have smart conversations. Do you yourself have a therapeutic background, if I may ask politely? Martin, well, I am not a clinical therapist, no. I'm a coach. I'm a mindset coach, a life coach. So I do Reiki, EFT tapping, breathing, these kind of things, holistic type things. Valhalla, hello. Frank Bell, good evening. My glove, you made it. You're on break? Okay, my glove on break. Thank you, I'm glad you made it. Nearly done though. Okay. Rodolfo. All right, I'm not doing a story tonight. I'm going to tell y'all a story on Sunday. So Sunday I'll be back for a story. So tonight we're almost to the part of breathing. We're getting close to, we got just a little bit more to go, and then we'll be to the breathing. Viola, I was upset when I joined, and now I'm part of the moderating team and enjoy everything. Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you stayed, Viola. So glad. Live, love, dreams. Being alone, I have less things come up missing. That's true, but there are people that will respect your home and your things as well. It's about feeling comfortable enough around those people, because a lot of times we feel, a familiarity around people maybe who we're used to hanging around. If you suffered, there goes Grinch. If you struggled, or suffered with, a reckless life coming up, should I say, any kind of dysfunction coming up in life, that uncertainty and things like this, that insecurity, these kind of things, sometimes the familiar is for things to start showing up missing, for things like this. And I don't know if you have if you're allowing people who have drug problems or any kind of problems in your home, but sometimes the people with their best intentions are trying to help people who don't really want help. So this is about understanding too what I want. Am I trying to help people who are not wanting help, but are wanting help like the handout type of help, and stuff. And I'm not saying that's all bad either, because help, if you can afford it mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. But I've worked with people with drug addiction, and I've worked with people who've let people in their homes before, trying to help, and then they call me yelling, "They stole this from me," and I'll be like, "Why did you let them in your house? You can help people without letting them in your house. What do you think they're gonna do?" That, you know. So is it in my mind, or are we all just sinking, still fueled by the pain that never left us last season? That's why healing is so important. We aren't all sinking. We aren't all sinking, Leo Lee. You don't have to sink. That's why I get on here. That's my intention and motivation, is to get on here to let people know, because I used to feel like I was just going to sink, and I thought that this was my reality. And so that's why I brought up those what ifs, because a lot of people talk themselves out of getting what they want with those catastrophizing what ifs, is because that's the familiarity, right? That's the familiarity, with what we were talking about earlier. So, like with Live Love Dreams, and Frank, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jason, I like the open discussions you facilitate through this channel. We learn a lot by hearing so many points of views. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry, I almost missed that, but yeah. So we're not all sinking, but we all can do some healing. So if I want to have a smart conversation, I talk to myself. Stacy and Grant, your life coaches and experts. Thank you, Angela. Kim, that's what Hubby meant by his comment. Best way to have an intelligent conversation is with yourself. Yes. Now I get it. Now I get it. Sometimes I'm a little slow. You know this. It'll go whoop. Benji, is it abnormal to talk to yourself? Isn't it weird or a bizarre thing to do? No, I talk to myself all day long. I do. I talk to myself in Grinch. Yeah, Angela. When you live with narcissists and codependents, you don't have deep conversations because they don't talk to you, they talk at you. I know. That's so true. My ex-husband's parents were like that, and I used to bring a magazine over to their house because they didn't care how I was doing. They didn't care what was going on with me. They didn't want to talk to me. They just wanted to offer those opinions, what somebody was saying earlier. They just wanted to offer these opinions all the time. So when I would go over with him for dinner and the kids, they loved the kids, so they were great grandparents to the kids. But when I would go over for dinner, I'd bring a magazine with me because I knew that I wasn't a part of the conversation, so. And I didn't feel bad about it because I didn't conversate over what they wanted to conversate about. So I don't know. When we say I don't know, it's with humility, openness, curiosity, and it's faith. It's faith. Because when we say I don't know, we're not making up stories, we're not calculating, we're not strategizing, we're not anticipating. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay to I don't know in uncertainty. Yes, you nailed it. I still enable letting the wrong ones and keeping the good ones at bay. Recipe for disaster. Yes, Live Love Dreams. I hope that you feel free to email me if you want coaching, because that's what it took for me to stop, and to get in the clarity, because we want to help people, but it's helping people is like you put your oxygen mask on first before you start helping other people. Hello, Barry. Frank, take some notes, kids. This is how you grow up. You can learn a lot from. Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate that. Martin, yes, you're a coach, but the term coach isn't protected. Anyone can call themselves that. I meant your academic training, but of course, you don't have to reply. Well, it's not really on topic, and I already did reply. So, yeah. And the term coach allows me to have a lot more freedom than somebody that has the academic things or the certificates, because you all don't have the freedoms that I have of holistic work, and these kind of things. So, Devira Junlam, some people could say I'm a counselor, a consultant, I'm a coach. Martin. I have no right to interrogate you, and here in Switzerland it's 2:30. All right, Martin, you have some blessed and regenerated rest, okay? Live, love, dreams. Intelligent folks talk to themselves better than taking advice from those who haven't personally lived through addiction. You're very welcome. Live, love, dreams. Thank you, Rodolfo. Yeah, good night, Martin. I know. Rodolfo's cool, huh? Benji. When I lost my favorite aunt earlier this year, I felt my life was over. I fell into serious depression. I realized I don't know how to mourn. Oh, that's very insightful, and it's true. It's true. I've talked about that in some other videos before because we don't know how to grieve. We don't know how to mourn. And, back in the old days, people used to wear black, and some people used to even wear an armband on their arm to let people know they were grieving, so people would handle them more tenderly, I guess, And then, now we have a celebration of life, not so much of a martyrdom, because people used to martyr in grief, but now we celebrate people's lives and the opportunity that we got to know those people, because we don't get to decide when we're going to go. We don't get to decide when someone else is going to go. I've lost my son, and I just honor him by the way that I live my life now, and that's how I grieve. So I help people walk through grief with grace. Thank you so much, Angela. Your life experience is valuable. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Tony, that was Tony that calls me Jamie Lane Summers. Thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate that. That's what a lot of people tell me that I coach, is that they'll tell me I've had therapists and therapists and therapists, and then they're like, but you helped me so much more than they did. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, thank you, Martin. You have a good rest. You have a good night. We'll see. We won't see you later, but you take care of yourself. Get you some good sleep. Thank you. So, conscious living. We can't consciously choose tomorrow. We can't consciously control everyone. We can't consciously predict loss. But we can consciously choose how we respond, where our attention goes, what we practice, who we become, and that's where freedom lives. That's where freedom lives. So it's about finding that freedom. Oh, thank you, No Face. Thanks, John London. You're right, Angela. Narcissists like Martin came to sabotage your channel, Stacy. Oh, he just has to prove something. You know what I mean? He's just having to prove something, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? So, the Swiss humor. Correct. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are an amazing group. I just love y'all. Yeah, he was being passive aggressive, but I don't know. Okay, we can consciously choose how we respond. I love the way that all y'all responded to that. I don't think any of y'all was mean to him. You weren't mean to him. Thank you. So where our attention goes and what we practice, who we become, and that's where freedom lives. Live, love, dreams, not taking the bait. Send the invitation back. That's right. That's right. 7, lonely and bored. Yes. Thank you, Kim. You did amazing moderating there. Thank you. Ramon wanted to be passive aggressive. Driving through the lives of possibility. You're awesome. Thank you so much, Frost Raven. I appreciate that. So now we're going to talk about borrowed beliefs. Borrowed beliefs. All right. You have a good evening too, Yo Betty White. Okay. So it's these beliefs sometimes that hold us back and keep us in lack, like money's hard. You have to earn love. Good girls don't make waves. Or dark nail polish, right? No, I'm kidding. That's if you just join in from now, that was something I was talking about earlier. I do wear dark nail polish, but men don't cry. These are things that don't serve people. Is these are the belief systems that people pick up. People can't be trusted. Sometimes people think people can't be trusted, or you have to take care of everyone, or you're too much, or you're not enough. These are belief systems that are in the back of the mind. Tony, I just described to you. I find your channel helpful for the ones in need. Thank you so much for subscribing, Tony. I appreciate that. Thank you. If any of y'all haven't subscribed and you find this resonates with you, then please feel free to subscribe. Angela, narcissists want to put you down to feel better about themselves. They're narcissists. Yes, there are, darling. Yes, there are. Thank you, Angela. Absolutely. They have waves. Yes. None of us entered the world believing those things. So absolutely, right, John London? So we didn't come into this world saying money's hard. We're worthy, valuable, and divine. I love y'all have heard me say I love our childlike states. Look at me, look at this. And then we get like, don't, and getting back to our childlike state, not childish, childlike, remembering our dreams, remembering who we are. I'm not trying to get y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I have tried to be other people, to please other people. I've tried to be other people to fit in, and I had to learn how to feel comfortable in my own skin, and that's the intention that I have when I get on here today. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, Mockingbird. I guess so, Kim. I guess so. Angela said, I saw the red flags. I guess so. So none of us entered the world believing that money was hard and that you have to earn love, because you deserve to be loved. You do. Tell Martin to talk to Dr. Phil. I know he's another Texan, I believe. Dr. Phil's Texan too. He talks like me. Dr. Martin probably won't think he's too smart either. So we don't care what he thinks, though. We don't care what he... Thank you. I know. So none of us entered the world believing those things. We learned them, which means that they can be unlearned. We can unlearn those things that I just talked about. So in closing tonight, thank you. Texas is cool, but it's hot right now, like a lot of places. Where do you live? Mockingbird. You're from Alabama? Sweet home Alabama. Ramon. The way that we can watch the train wreck. Yep, we did. We did. Okay, so in closing, then we're going to breathe, darlings, is I've spent 29 years learning this stuff. Recovery didn't teach me how to control life. Recovery taught me how to stop trying. And the more I heal, the less I need certainty, right? Is I know that I have no control. I know what I have control over, what I don't have control over. And the more I heal, the less fear gets to make my decisions for me. And the more I heal, the more I can simply breathe, pray, and say, I don't know. And trust that whatever comes, I'll meet as the woman that I am today, not the frightened child I once had to be. Greece is cool. I love you too, Ramon. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Are y'all ready to breathe, darlings? So just remember, consciousness isn't just being awake, it's becoming aware of what has been choosing your life. And every time you notice a thought, instead of automatically believing it, you become a little more conscious, and that's healing. That's recovery, and that's freedom. Freedom, that's what we want. And I love y'all too. So let's breathe, darlings. Everyone ready to breathe? Yes. Grinch, you gonna breathe with us? Come on, you gonna breathe? Come on, come breathe. I don't think he's gonna come breathe with us, y'all. Angela, we have to trust God more and remember how imperfect we are. Yes, we are perfectly imperfect. We are. So, we're specially unspecial, perfectly imperfect. We are divine. So, let's see. Live, love, dreams. Let's grow. Thanks, Stacy. Yes. And everyone with us. Have a blessed night. You too, Live, love, dreams. I'm glad that you made it. Y'all remember that I'll be back. If you don't breathe with me, with us, remember that I'll be back at 9 a.m. Sunday morning. And then I'll tell you a story. Okay? So let's grow. Here we grow. Let's breathe, darlings. We breathe all the way in. If you're new, we breathe all the way in our tummy. Do the best that you can. And then we hold it for 4 counts if you can. And then release gently and slowly. Okay? We do it 5 times. And so it's just to put us, well, you're going to feel safe. Safe and protected and divinely directed. Because you'll be in your intuition. You are so much... I can't even talk anymore. I'm going to take a shower and take Benadryl. Thank you. You're so very welcome, Angela. Thank you so much. Oh, if I tap, Grinch will join. He sure will. Okay, let's be tapping. So if we're tapping, Grinch, I'm tapping. I'm tapping over here. All right, let's try Reiki. All right, what about the Reiki? Here he comes. Here he comes. Come on. Come on. Come on. We're going to breathe. Come on. There's the Grinch. I'm going to put the glasses on so I can see. Thank you, John London and Della Paredes. Hello in Paris, France, Della Paredes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You going to breathe with us? Viola, you breathing with us? George, good evening. We're going to breathe, darlings. We're going to breathe, okay? All right. Frenchie, hey, we're about to breathe. Are you ready to breathe with us? All right, here we grow, here we grow. So let's take a deep breath in. Hold it. And release. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Breathe. Hold it. Release. Just 2 more. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Last one. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Did you enjoy breathing? All right. Thank you so much for those hearts. All right. Well, thank you all for being here this evening. I'll be back on Sunday. What is going on here? I'll be back on Sunday at 9 a.m. in the morning for story time. And I hope that you all have a super Saturday. Jason Stillwell, I agree with you on Italy. If things get too bad in the U.S., Italy is one of 2 places I'd move to. I've never been there, but as a guy in school becoming a historian, what a place. I know, right, the history in Italy and Spain and Greece and all of that. Grinch does know what he's doing. Hey, Daniel, George. I am in the Caribbean myself, George. Grinchy, yes, yes. So glad to see y'all tonight. Thank you. Grinch did look relaxed. We're about to have well, I'm going to go take a shower, and then I'll make a golden milk, and then take that Benadryl and go to sleep and get this swelling down and this hand and on my legs. You're Greek, George? That's cool. I loved my archaeology trip to Italy. You did, John London? Let's see. I will, Kim. I will. Thank you so much for moderating. Everyone, let's give Kim a hand for moderating for us. Let's give her some hearts if y'all can hit your hearts. All right. All right. Well, I love y'all. Y'all have a super Saturday. You have a wonderful night too, Angela. Good night, John London. Good night, everyone. Yes. Blessed and regenerated rest. Viola. Yes. Thank you. Love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Good night, JR, and good night, Rodolfo, wherever you are. And y'all, and Ramon, live, love, dreams. Thank you so much. And anyone else that I've missed this evening. Good night. All righty. See y'all Sunday. Sunday.